All right, folks, so if you've seen the video I created last year called Is Unemployment Taxable? You know that unemployment is generally taxable, at least at the federal level, including the federally boosted unemployment benefits that were paid out at various periods of time last year as well as this year. Typically, you get a Form 1099-G from your state, you input this information in your tax software, taxes calculated on your unemployment compensation. Now, that's a surprise to many people, right? If they didn't know this and they didn't pay tax throughout the year on their unemployment compensation, they could be looking at a pretty thick tax bill. Well, as I mentioned in a recent daily political update, Democratic Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois and Democratic Representative Cindy Axne of Iowa's 3rd Congressional District have introduced into Congress the Coronavirus Unemployment Benefits Tax Relief Act that would waive federal income taxes on the first $10,200 of unemployment benefits received in 2020. You do the math, that comes out to 17 weeks of that $600 weekly benefit, right? The federal boost that was instituted under the CARES Act. Now, just to be clear, this bill would exempt all kinds of unemployment compensation received, right, up to that threshold, whether the federal $600 boost, the PUA, regular state unemployment. But it's interesting that they are suggesting a ceiling of $10,200, which is equal to the $600 times 17. Now, at this point, we don't know if this bill will pass. No one knows the future. So if you received unemployment compensation, you might be wondering, should you file your taxes now or should you file them later after it's more clear that this bill will pass or not? Well, in my view, there are two ways you can go with this. It kind of depends if you're looking at a refund or you're looking at tax due. If you fill out your tax software and it turns out you owe a refund, even if your unemployment is taxable, file now. Might as well file now, get that refund. And then if it turns out that Congress exempts from federal taxation your unemployment income, you can amend your tax return later and get even more refund. Caveat here. Question is, will your tax preparer charge you for amending your tax return and e-filing it for you? Because of course, you could paper file your amended return, but who wants to deal with paper these days, right? So I did some research on this. I did find some conflicting information online for TurboTax and amended returns, so I reached out to their customer support over Facebook and asked the question, and they confirmed that if the forms you're doing an amendment for are in the qualified free edition, you will not have to pay. But if you add in forms that are not covered in the free edition, then you will have to upgrade to the corresponding product, and then you would be required to pay. So in this case, right, just the unemployment switching from taxable to non-taxable as a result of this potential tax law change, that would still be covered by the free edition, so you wouldn't have to pay TurboTax to amend your return, right? I also checked H&R Block online. I found a page on H&R Block's website that says with H&R Block, you can file an amended tax return online once you've been notified by the IRS that they have received and accepted your original return for 2020, then you can amend your tax return online. If you filed your 2020 return with our online program, you can prepare an amended return with us. If you're using our free program, you'll need to upgrade to a different program if you want to e-file your amended return. So that sounds to me like H&R Block will charge you for e-filing your amended tax return. Now, they might waive this in the future if this bill actually passes, and there are now millions of Americans who need to amend their return. I don't know, but that seems to be their position right now. My point is, check with your tax software provider to see what their fees are for e-filing an amended return, right? If they're going to charge you to amend your return for this, right? Or, it's kind of option two, if you don't want to deal with a potential amended return later, or you owe tax, you may want to go with the second option here, which is to wait to file until it's more clear what's going to happen with Senator Durbin's and Representative Axne's legislation, right? However, if you do this, I would suggest that you prepare your tax return in your tax software now so you know what you're looking at, right, in terms of your tax due or tax refund. Then e-file an extension for your tax return so you don't forget about it, right? Also extend your state tax return if your state requires you to file a separate extension from your federal extension. And then if you owe tax based on the return you prepared, but you didn't file yet because we don't know what's going to happen with this bill, budget that tax due into your budget over the next couple of months and make sure you pay that tax owed by April 15th, right? If this bill doesn't pass before then. If it does pass before then, great, right? Your tax software will have it updated in its tax software. You can file your return. You'll owe less tax than you originally thought you were. You might even be in a refund position. And plus, you'll have this extra money you budgeted for, right? Win-win, right? And you can use that money to invest, pay down debt. Be sure to watch my free Millionaire Math workshop. Just go to loganalec.com to get your link for that workshop. I talk about investing and stocks and gold and all that stuff. But if this legislation doesn't pass by April 15th, and we're still not sure if it will pass or not, well, you should pay your taxes by April 15th with the money you've budgeted, right? So you avoid a penalty. You've already extended your tax return or tax returns by then, so you don't have to worry about a late filing penalty. And then later, after April 15th, whenever it's clear what's going to happen, file your return accordingly. But don't forget to include on that tax return the tax payment you made by April 15th. There is, of course, another consideration here, and that is that the government could just say something like, hey, if this bill passes, they could say, look, you can amend your return if you'd like, or you can just claim a credit on your 2022 tax return for your overpayment of taxes on your unemployment compensation, right, if you don't want to do the amended return. I don't know if they're going to do that. That's just something they could do. All right, folks, that's what I have to say on the subject. Obviously, this is a developing situation. If you haven't watched my video on the general taxation principles of unemployment compensation, be sure to check that out. There will be a link to that video on the next screen. Obviously, that video was created last year before this proposal came out. Also, if you haven't seen my TurboTax review and walkthrough yet, be sure to check that out on the next screen as well. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end, and I will see you in those other videos. Bye-bye.